Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends and Their Wooden Railway Stories, the first episode for Season 2. Episode 12. Duck, Sidney, and George. One day on the island of Sodor, Sidney, the Bluebell engine, was going to take a steamroller named George away. Hey, George is a grumpy old steamroller. And he had been very cheeky to the engines. You useless puffballs are nothing but stinky butts or winkies. I am fast, and you sticky engines are not part of the railway, he said. Oh, yes, we are, said Thomas and Percy. And Miss Sidney was ready to take George away. And Puff. He's got rid of him, said Thomas, for good riddance. And George was good. George was taken onto the road and shoved on, and Sidney puffed away. And Duck, the Great Western engine, had to do work with Sidney, the new engine. He liked working with Sidney. There was you, Sidney, asked Thomas. Duck? Well, said Sidney, look at that steamroller. He's smelly. His name is George. Who the heck called me smelly? He said. Sidney, said Duck. No, said Sidney. We're just only telling lies. He said. Great, said George. I will show you what a really useful steam engine can do. And then George rode away. Oh, said Duck. I'll show him. And puffed away. He shunted a goods train to let George crash into it. So that George won't be a really useful steamroller at all. He shunted this goods train because he was gonna show George how really useful full steam engine he was. Shoveled the goods train up to the top. At last, but it was hard work, but at last, Duck pushed the goods train up to the top. He felt everything was good, but what he didn't notice that there was a crack on the track, and it wasn't finished yet. Duck didn't notice. Let's keep going, Duck, he said. But then, suddenly, the ground below quivered, and then a truck fell into the ground below and was never to be seen again. And then a truck came off the rail as well. The second rails and the only coach that was on the train. And fell off too. Duck knew what was happening. He knew he couldn't stop George now. And then another truck fell off and fell into the ground as well. And then the last car. And then the last car came. This car came off the rails too. I can't stop! The duck, and he thundered off the rails. And this made Duck very cross. George laughed and laughed. And then it was Sidney's turn. I'll teach him a lesson too, he said, and he chucked away. Later that day, Toby was taking some trucks from the yard. When suddenly, George was blocking his way. And George was blocking his way and felt scared of Toby trying to run him too. And then he was still blocking his way, and Scruffy, filled with gravel, was still stuck in the running. Let me through, said Toby. I'm far too busy. We'll just have to wait. There's no time to wait, said Toby. I need to clear my trucks from the main line to let Sidney through. Through. Said George. Then he'll have to wait too. Just then, Toby's driver complained to the signalmaster, but the signalman had already set the point. Sidney was taking a passenger train, and he went through the same viaduct, and he was going fast. His passengers were singing his praises, and he was making fast time. Hurry, hurry, hurry! Hurry, hurry, hurry! Hurry, hurry, hurry! Hurry, hurry, hurry! Said Sidney in a cheerful way. He was feeling very happy. Then, as he came down a hill, he saw George and Toby. And then he saw Scruffy and looked, "Get out of my way!" But the truck wouldn't move. Until Sidney forces it by accident. Later that day, Toby Sidney arrived at the docks and was worried that the Fat Controller might be cross with him, but he was with his at Farquhar. He was worried that the Fat Controller would be cross with him, but he was with his driver. Whoever caused disturbance will be sent to the scrapyard, he said. I know who did this, said Sidney. You do? Said the Fat Controller. It begins with a G. George, said the Fat Controller. Tell you what, Sidney, you go carry on putting your friend Duck back on the rails, and I'll go have a word with George. Thank you, sir, said Sidney, and Sidney rolled away. And while the Fat Controller went to have a word with George, he knew where George is, and he knew what George had done. He found George and decided to speak with him and have a word with him, indeed.